Welcome, tech enthusiasts, to another deep dive here on Tech Talk Central. I'm Nathan.
And I'm Sarah. Today, we're tackling a question many of you have asked. When you're looking at these top-tier 4K gaming monitors, which one truly stands out for your setup?
That's right. We've got two absolute heavyweights lined up today. First, the Asus ROG Swift 27-inch 4K QD OLED. That's a TD27 UCDM model. And second, the Samsung 27-inch Odyssey 3D G90XF.
Two very interesting options.
Definitely. So our mission is pretty straightforward. Unpack the core specs, look at the unique features, and maybe most importantly, dive into the real-world user experiences to help you figure out which one might be, your next ultimate display.
Let's get into it.
Okay, let's kick things off with the Asus ROG Swift PG27 UCDM. This thing is, well, it's a beast on paper.
It really is.
We're talking a 26.5-inch 4K QD OLED panel, a blazing 240 Hz refresh rate, and an almost instantaneous 0.03 meters browse time. Just incredibly fast.
It is. And what's really fascinating here is the fourth generation QD OLED tech. Users are really raving about it. They're calling it a game changer for sharpness, for text clarity.
Oh, really? Even text?
Yeah, even text. Some even say 4K films look better than in movie theaters. A lot of that comes down to the zero black level.
Okay, zero black level. Explain that a bit.
Right. So basically, individual pixels can switch off completely. True black, which gives you, infinite contrast. It apparently makes older ITS panels look kind of pale and washed out side by side.
Wow. So that contrast must be incredible, especially in darker games or movies.
Exactly. And you get 166 pixels per inch, so the detail is just super sharp.
Okay, so for serious gamers then, this monitor just screams performance. 240 Hertz at 4K. And that 0.03 mirrors for response time. Users are saying things like zero motion blur, no input delay. Sounds perfect for competitive FPS players.
Absolutely. It's also GSYNC compatible, supports AMD FreeSync Premium Pro too, so you get those super smooth, tear-free visuals regardless of your GPU brand, pretty much. But it's not just about speed. Asus put some serious effort into what they call OLED Care Pro functions. These are specifically designed to tackle burn-in concerns.
Yeah, burn-in. Always a worry with OLED, right?
It is, yeah. So this includes things like a Neo proximity sensor. It detects when you step away and just blacks out the screen. Pretty smart.
That is smart. Saves the panel.
And pixel cleaning, dynamic adjustments for static things like logos or the taskbar, even screen move tech to subtly shift pixels around. It's like the monitor's actively looking after itself. Gives you some peace of mind.
That sounds really comprehensive. What about those AI gaming features I read about? AI crosshairs, shadow boost. Are they actually useful?
Well, they're there. You've got AI crosshair that changes color based on the background, AI shadow boost to brighten dark spots, maybe help you spot enemies.
Could be handy.
And AI visual that sort of auto-adjusts settings, that maybe small touches, but yeah, could give you a slight edge in certain games.
Okay, connectivity. You mentioned it's future-proof. What's the deal with DisplayPort 2.1a UHBR20? That sounds technical.
It is a bit technical, but basically UHBR20 means it has a huge amount of bandwidth, 80 gigabits per second.
Wow, okay.
Which is more than enough for uncompressed 4K at that full 240 hertz. So no compromises on image quality because of the cable. You also get USB-C with 90W power delivery, great for hooking up a laptop.
Oh, nice. One cable solution.
Pretty much. And HDMI 2.1, of course. Plus, it supports Dolby Vision and HDR10, and it's VISA Display HDR 400 True Black certified. That means really impressive HDR. Amazing colors, those deep blacks we talked about. 99% DCI-P3 color gamut, true 10-bit color. Ticks all the boxes.
And ergonomically, stand looks decent.
Yeah, good stand. Tilt, swivel, pivot, height adjust, all the usual stuff you'd expect. VISA mount compatible too. Oh, and you can tweak settings using their display widget software with your mouse, which is kind of convenient.
So lots of praise. Mind-blowing color. Worth every penny for competitive players. But it can't be perfect, right? There are always quirks.
Always. And here's where it gets interesting, especially with HDR. While those true blacks are amazing, some users ran into this classic OLED HDR dilemma.
Dilemma? What do you mean?
Well, it's sort of a what do you decide to lose situation. You often have different HDR modes, right?
Right.
One mode might give you really intense peak brightness in small areas, like maybe 1,000 nits for an explosion, looks dazzling. But the brightness across the whole screen might be lower, maybe 500, 600 nits.
Ah, I see. Peak versus sustained.
Exactly. Another mode might give you better full screen brightness, keeping everything consistently bright, but maybe sacrifice those super intense highlights. Asus tries a combined mode too, but some felt the algorithm wasn't quite there yet. Kind of felt like a compromise.
Hmm. So HDR isn't just on or off. You kind of have to pick your flavor.
Yeah.
What about other issues? Firmware bugs?
Yeah, a few reported bugs. Sometimes the KVM switch, for using one keyboard mouse for two PCs can be a bit flaky.
Oh, it could be annoying.
And the anti-flicker setting, apparently if you set it too high, it can ironically cause flickering. The advice seems to be stick to the medium setting.
Gotcha. Medium anti-flicker. Noted.
Oh, and one minor thing about the panel itself, if you have direct light hitting it, the blacks can sometimes reflect a bit of a magenta tone. Not ideal, but maybe not a deal breaker.
Wasn't there something about the cable?
Ha, yes. The included DisplayPort 2.1 cable, it's short, like really short. One reviewer joked your PC needs to be glued to the monitor. So yeah, factor in buying a longer DP 2.1 cable if your PC isn't right there.
Good tip. Okay, anything else on the Asus before we switch gears?
Just one more thing. Asus actually released a very similar model, the X27 UCDMG, not long after this one.
Oh.
Yeah, basically the same specs, but it drops Dolby Vision and the DP 2.1 port, often for a lower price. So if you don't need Dolby Vision specifically for your PC setup, this PG27 UCDM model might be harder to justify over its slightly cheaper sibling.
Interesting point.
Yeah.
Makes the choice even trickier. Okay, let's pivot then. The Samsung 27-inch Odyssey 3D G90 XF, also 4K OLED, but different specs, right?
Right. This one's 165 hertz refresh rate, still very fast, and a 1 MHz response time. Also G-Sync compatible, and it has AMD FreeSync Premium, so still great for gaming.
But the headline feature here is different. It's that 3D without glasses. How on earth does that work? Is it like those old lenticular screens?
It's much more sophisticated than that, actually. It's being called industry's best 3D picture quality without glasses. It uses eye-tracking cameras built into the monitor.
Eye tracking.
Yeah, and clever view mapping algorithms. It basically figures out where your eyes are and projects slightly different images to each one, creating that depth illusion. And it can do it for multiple viewers.
Wow, okay, that sounds complex but cool.
It is. They even have AI 3D video conversion to try and turn 2D videos into 3D. And there's an Odyssey 3D hub to find compatible games and content.
So they're trying to build an ecosystem for it?
Kind of. Oh, and it has edge lighting, too. LEDs at the bottom match the screen color, sort of like ambilight to boost immersion.
Okay, that sounds pretty immersive. What's the verdict from users on the 3D experience? Is it just a gimmick, or does it actually enhance games?
People seem genuinely impressed, calling it amazing, saying it takes gaming to another level, describing that feeling of depth as something you really have to experience.
Intriguing.
And even for just regular 2D gaming or work, users praised the vibrant color, stunning color, vivid and sharp. It's still a great OLED panel. Plus, it has built-in speakers that try to do directional sound.
What about the physical monitor? Build quality, stand?
Pretty good build quality, yeah. And the stand is flexible. You can even use it vertically, which some people really like for multitasking or coding. Decent cable management, too.
Okay, sounds great, but there's always a but. The 3D sounds amazing, but is the content actually there?
That's the big question mark right now. Some reviewers definitely called it a gorgeous gimmick, precisely because there just aren't that many games fully supporting it yet.
Yeah, I figured that might be the case.
Samsung says they're aiming for about 50 supported games by the end of 2025, but yeah, it's early days. The SDK for developers isn't public either, which kind of limits things.
So you're relying on Samsung to add support. And what about PC requirements? Does it need a beastly rig?
It does need a high-end PC, yeah. They recommend at least an Intel i7 or Ryzen 7 32 gigs of DDR5 RAM, and crucially, an NVIDIA RTX 3080 or better GPU for good 3D performance.
Okay, so definitely premium hardware needed.
And another big one, for the 3D modes to work optimally, they say this has to be the only monitor connected to your PC.
Oh, wow. Only one monitor. That's a big limitation for multi-monitor users.
Huge limitation for many people. Also, that AI 3D conversion doesn't work with HDR content or anything with DRM like Netflix.
Right, okay. So quite a few restrictions around the 3D feature. Any quirks with the panel itself, like the Asus HDR thing?
A couple of things mentioned. Some users felt the blackness, quote-unquote, wasn't quite as perfect as they expected from an OLED.
Really? How so?
Like, moving the mouse cursor on a black screen could make parts of the screen look kind of grayish, suggesting maybe the local dimming isn't super granular or there's some blooming, which is a bit surprising for OLED.
Yeah, definitely. Usually perfect blacks are the main selling point.
Exactly. And, of course, the price. This monitor is significantly more expensive than the Asus. It's very much, as one reviewer put it, the cost for early adopters.
Right. paying the premium for bleeding-edge tech. Okay, so let's try and bring this together for someone trying to choose. Two premium 4K OLEDs. Very different priorities, it seems.
Totally different philosophies almost. If you want the absolute fastest, smoothest, most responsive 4K gaming experience for competitive play, the Asus ROG Swift PG27 UCDM with that 240 Hz and 0.03 meters response time is hard to beat.
Right, speed is king there. Plus, the mature OLED care features.
Exactly. And while it's expensive, it's generally less pricey than the Samsung.
Okay, but then the Samsung Odyssey 3D G90 XF, who's that for?
That's for the early adopter. Someone fascinated by new tech who wants to experience that glasses-free 3D, which by all accounts is genuinely impressive when it works with the right content.
But you have to be prepared for the higher cost, the limited 3D content right now, and those pretty strict PC requirements and single monitor limitation for 3D.
Precisely. So it really boils down to, do you prioritize the ultimate refinement of the traditional fast gaming experience? Or are you willing to invest more, maybe deal with some early limitations for a glimpse into a potentially very immersive future with glasses-free 3D?
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Which leads to a kind of provocative thought, maybe. As we keep pushing display tech, what is the future? Is it just more speed, more pixels, more fidelity like the Asus represents?
Or is it fundamentally new ways to interact and immerse ourselves, like the Samsung's 3D, even if that means navigating some growing pains along the way? What do you think is the next big leap, speed or immersion?
Something to chew on. What stands out to you listening right now? Where do you see displays heading?
Well, that wraps up our deep dive into these two really incredible but very different 4K gaming monitors. We hope this breakdown gives you the insights you need to figure out what makes sense for your own setup.
Absolutely. And hey, if you're thinking of picking one up, to find the latest prices and deals, be sure to check out the links we've put in the description below.
Please do.
And if you enjoyed this deep dive, found it useful, please hit that subscribe button for Tech Talk Central. We've got loads more expert insights and reviews coming your way.
Thanks for joining us.